We're live already. I'm just gonna jump right into it. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Deeply Rooted podcast by Planting Roots. We hope that you're doing well and that you enjoyed our New Year's study, which was called Back to Our Roots, where we discussed Jeremiah 17:8, which is the theme verse for Planting Roots, and what we as Christians need to remain rooted in order to thrive in our military lives. If you missed that series, make sure you go and check it out. But I guess also I should introduce myself. I'm Erin, and my dear friend Liz is my co-host, and we're both active duty Coast Guard officers and both married member to member. Liz, it's been a few weeks. How are you? What's new? What's God been teaching you lately?
It's been a busy few weeks, but God has been teaching me so much, and I feel like I've had a lot of random stuff going on. So both of us are waiting for assignments still. So it's been just learning patience with the Lord and just trusting where He's going to send us. I think we'll hear in like the next few weeks, but it's definitely hard because it's like maybe we're moving in a few months, but where are we moving? We don't know. So just
Yeah,
like struggling with that and learning to find peace in the waiting season is something that God has really been working in me. So I know we're both going through that.
for
And
sure.
also my husband, he is in dry dock right now. So he is an afloat officer on a Coast Guard cutter. And right now they're in dry dock from probably February to like June. So he's been in Houma, Louisiana for since February. And
And
it's
you live
March
where?
now. I live in Houston, Texas.
Yeah.
So it's about 5 hours, so not too bad, but we've been doing kind of long distance. He comes back on the weekends, so I get to see him then, but I've been learning how to communicate through technology again. When he's gone, normally he's afloat on a boat, so he doesn't have cell service. So I'm kind of getting used to having to reach out and communicate and all that stuff. And normally it just like he disappears for a month. But then he gets his phone when he's in port on the weekends. But yeah, so learning how to communicate and work on long distance has been fun. It's definitely an learning experience, but I get to kind of focus on things like grad school during the week and the podcast and stuff like that. So it's allowing me to get stuff done, and then we are able to just hang out and relax on the weekends when he's home, which has been good. And then something I've been struggling with a bit lately, I've been having a little bit of anxiety lately that I haven't had in a while. I feel like I haven't struggled with anxiety since like school exams and stuff for that, but it's just been kind of a stressful season at work. Um, and I also think anxiety comes a lot from pride. So I've just been working on
Mm.
the Lord humbling my heart so that I don't have to struggle with it as much. But I've just had some boards coming up from work that I was pretty anxious for. And then school, I'm in grad school right now. So exams and stuff, just getting anxious about that. So I've just had to really focus on God and what He says about me and realize that my identity is in Him and not in my work or the things that I'm doing. So just learning to trust God, and have Him quiet my thoughts. And Philippians, which we're going to get into, has been really good for just focusing on things that are truth and learning about that and learning about the importance of eternity and being eternity minded. That's something I've been really trying to put in practice because I think when you are eternity minded, it eliminates fear because you're not fearful for the future because you know where you're going. So I've been really trying to focus on that. And that's something that this Bible study has been teaching me and something that I've really gotten to focus on through studying this. But yeah, that's my life update. But I know you've had a lot going on, Erin. Since our last podcast, you now have a new member of the family. You have your new baby boy. So I'm excited to hear about what you've been learning in this new season.
Yeah, it's been really good. I mean, it's a clear change in my life. I have a little baby boy, Weston. He's almost 2 months now, which is crazy. Time is flying by, but also I feel like I've had him in my life forever. And I have been on leave, so it's been really good to just enjoy every day with him here at home. I would say the three things I have really been focusing on and learning in this season are patience, priorities, and perspective. With the baby, he's a really good baby. Don't get me wrong, but it's everything's new, and his temperament is up and down. Things are constantly changing, and so it's a test of patience sometimes. And especially when he's crying, and I'm trying to meet his needs, and my husband's trying to meet his needs, it'll get to you sometimes, and sometimes you get a little bit frustrated when you don't want to necessarily. And so I've just been really trying to stay grateful, because when I stay grateful, patience is so much easier when I am thinking about the blessing that he is and that my husband is. And that, I mean, even simple things like when I'm folding his laundry, like I get to fold this laundry, like I'm washing clothes 100 times a day because I have a healthy baby who has a healthy system. And yes, he might have blowouts, but I'm trying to think about all the positive things instead of getting impatient. So that's one thing that I've been really focusing on and just learning a lot about. The next is priorities. I think being a new mom, I've learned, and I expected this, but I've really learned that my time is not my own. He is really needy. I mean, makes sense. Babies are, they need us for everything, especially breastfeeding. It's really demanding and a full-time job for sure. Um, and with that, it really means that I only have pockets of 20 minutes here or there to get the things done that I want to get done. And so I have to be really intentional with that time. If I only have 20 minutes, I can scroll Instagram for 20 minutes, and I like Instagram. I think it has value, but I have to evaluate whether that has as much value and weight as spending time with my husband or calling my sister or spending time in the Word. And so I've been testing myself to really outline how I want to be spending my time and make decisions wisely based on my priorities. And then thirdly, perspective. I heard people say before becoming a mom that the days are long and the years are short. And that's truly the case here. When I only have a 1 day view on his life, it's easy to get a little bit tired and exhausted because it feels like you're doing the same thing every day. But when I look at it, even at a month view, when he turned 1 month old, I was looking back and I was just thinking about how fast it went and how developmentally he was improving so much and all these things. And then take it to 2 months, take it to a year, take it to 18 years. Like when I look at his life with an 18-year lens, like I only have 18 years to spend with him to get as much time and to teach him as much as I can. Like when I look at it with that lens, I can more wisely choose how to spend the day to day, and I have a much better outlook. All these three things, patience, priorities, and perspective, all tie together. And so when I change my lens, when I look at it a little differently, I feel a little different about it. And so those are the three things God's been teaching me, and they really tie in again to this study, which I will introduce now. So, this episode, we're just doing a little introduction of our next series, which is inspired by Planting Roots' newest Bible study, which is on the book of Philippians. Melissa, when she was writing the study, used Paul's letter to the church of Philippi to talk about how our heavenly citizenship, which is the fact that we as Christians have an eternal home in heaven, should transform our military assignments and affect the way we operate. So really those three things, priorities, perspective, patience, that I've been learning get talked about a lot in this study. And perspective, having a view from heaven, a view that this earth is not our home, is really, really helpful, especially in military life, especially in the things that Liz and I talked about. One thing that I forgot to mention, Liz talked about this, but we are also waiting for our next assignment. And of course, because it's the military, we found out where we're not moving, but we haven't found out where we're moving. So we didn't get our top choice, which was Washington, which was gonna be great for my family just because I'd be close to my parents and my sister over there. So I was a little bummed about that. I definitely spent a good 20 minutes crying for a bit. But just because, it would be a for sure plan for childcare, and I knew how we would spend our weekends, and I knew how we would, spend the holidays, that sort of thing. But of course, when I step back and have a different perspective, when I have a either longer time frame perspective, when I think of, okay, my short career in the military or my short time on this earth, like, okay, it's only a couple of years that I'm not going to be able to go to Washington. So again, this study will tie in a lot to what we've both been learning and just to how life as a Christian, and especially a Christian in the military, where things are not very consistent all the time and we're constantly being thrown all over the place and tested in that way. This study is really going to speak to that, and we're excited.
Yeah, we're so excited to jump into this study. It's going to be a 6-week Bible study. So there will be 6 episodes that are mirroring the topics outlined in each section of the study. If you're interested in purchasing the study, you can follow along with us, and we would love that. And you can find the link below. But we hope that these conversations will be a blessing to you regardless, and that they are able to spark good thoughts and questions that you can take with you to your local community.
Yeah, so we're not necessarily going to be going through the Bible study with this podcast, but what we hope is that the conversation that Liz and I have around the podcast kind of gives you an example of a conversation that you could take back and through the study have with people on your base or in your small group in your local community. So we're kind of just giving you an example and just letting our brains go where our brains go when we go through this study ourselves. So we're very excited to dive in and learn how to transform our military mindsets for kingdom living. So until next week, I'm Mary.
And I'm Liz.
And we pray that you stay deeply rooted.